just want to thank everybody who came out to have an opportunity to share with an audience, not just the onlookers here on Market Street, but also people watching these speeches on video. I also want to thank Achutananda, who came by to our earlier part of the rally, and I'm going to kick it to his speech right now.
Hi, my name is Achutananda. I'm a yoga monk. I believe in the consistent life ethic. When I was in college in the 1960s, at that time, it's well known, many white men did not consider different other groups to be fully human. At the time I started in college, 1963, things started to change very quickly at that time. The next summer was the summer of 1964. That was called Freedom Summer. The next summer I did go to Mississippi to do a little bit of work for a civil rights organization called the Delta Ministry. White men at that time were quickly starting to include black people in their human family, and at the same time, 1963, Betty Friedan had published The Feminine Mystique, which is usually singled out as the start of the second wave of feminism. White men quickly began seeing black people and women as being fully human, not being something less or other. Just a little bit later, in the 1970s, similar type of things started to happen with gay people. They began to be considered finally as part of our human family. Up to this point, this is all a familiar story to many people, but the point I would like to make, the last frontier of civil rights, the inclusion of the unborn in our human family, is going to be have more of an impact on the history of the human race than any other liberation movement. By history of the human race, I don't mean the history of kings and presidents. I mean the history of the evolution of consciousness of the human race, the history of the moral progress of the human race. The arc of the moral universe bends toward an expanded consciousness. The human race is evolving. It's not remaining the same. It's becoming more human. To see the unborn as fully human requires expanding our minds in the first place. It's relatively easy. Of course, those other movements, gay rights, civil rights for racial minorities, women's rights, they have been extremely long movements involving terrible sacrifice and suffering, but relatively easy compared to including the unborn as members of the human race, because the other groups look like you. It's hard not to recognize that they are human. It takes an evolution of the mind just to see early embryos as human beings. In that way, I think it will do more to accelerate the moral evolution of the human race than any other movement has before. How to make that happen, how to make people grapple with the possibility that an early embryo is a human being. That is where what we're doing today, Marching for Life, comes in. People on both sides will have to go deeper and deeper into the philosophy, the science, and into a really deep consideration of the issues, and that is where the pro-life side will win.